humor. Okay, everybody, let's get ready for round 2 of the Gentry standard event. As a reminder, this is... do we have... So this is a budget version of standard, where you're allowed 4 individually unique rares and or mythics. We are taking a look at round 2, the match between Iarre and Ruud. Ruud is one of those players that's in the high end of the leaderboard right now. He couldn't make it last month, which meant he dropped from first place to somewhere 5th or 6th, but he still has a chance to make it in the top 2. Top 2 getting buys, of course, for the league standard, the Gentry standard finals in just under a month on September 17th. If you have any questions, okay, let's see. Unfortunately, we can't get the microphone any louder, so I'll have to settle with putting the music deeper on the background. Also, the music is very bad. Yeah, well, we're limited to no copyright sounds. See if I can find something more to your liking. See if this is better. Yeah, unfortunately, it's all a bit of the same genre when you want to get something that you can actually play on Twitch and YouTube. So, sorry about that. So, is the difference between music and voice better now? Just a second. Kun jullie de live totals aan de andere kant leggen, alsjeblieft? Alright. Yeah, perfect. Alright, and we're underway. Apparently, Iarre won the die roll and has the opening of Lone Dryad, the dream opening for the black-green Aristocrats deck. On the other side, we have Topen Freeblade kicking it off for Ruud's blue-white tempo deck. It's two of the top decks in the format battling it out against each other here. So it should be quite interesting. It's a weird dynamic in the deck where blue-white tempo has a usually somewhat stronger early game that then gets taken over by the Aristocrats deck because it plays 2/3s that are actually quite relevant in this matchup. And then flyers come into play for blue-white tempo, which turns it around again in the match. In favor of the tempo deck, and then the extreme late game, if we actually get there, the Aristocrats deck with its cutthroats and its Duskwatch recruiters gets the upper hand again. This is the reason why a lot of the blue-white tempo players have been crossing over to Bond to incorporate the Duskwatch recruiter in their decks to shore up their late game as well. That's an anticipate from Ruud. And Iarre has the Catacomb Sifter to lock up the ground here. So at this point he has access to some chump blockers, he can start scrying, look for the cards he actually needs. Yeah, sorry about the microphone, we're stuck without our usual microphone. It's just a headset. And we have a Whirler Rogue. That's really one of the cornerstones of the deck. providing quite a few bodies and giving the possibility to make other creatures unblockable. Um, it also works really well together with the Essence Flux, the blinking spell that they usually play to get an extra advantage out of the Whirler Rogue and the Sky Spawner, the Eldrazi, the 2-1 flyer that brings Scion as well. And we have Nantuku Husk, which is the cornerstone of the Aristocrats deck in this format. Sacrifice outlets being pretty scarce once you eliminate rares from your pool. I think there's a lot of people that will be very happy when the standard rotates and that that card drops out of the format. But there's a few other essential ones that are leaving as well from Ruud's deck, like the Thunderclap Wyvern and the Whirler Rogue itself we see here. Reflector Mage was the addition from Oath of the Gatewatch that really put this deck into top tier for the format. Hmm? And Ruud getting in with some packing damage. I think that's a Disperse, yeah, a Disperse. Iarre has the choice to sacrifice. Iarre gets a chance to sacrifice in order to scry 1, and then he uses the Catacomb Sifter to block as well. Nee, even verdween toen. Ja. Nee. So a little misunderstanding there of what exactly happens when a token gets bounced. Do remember that this is an event hosted by a league especially made for beginning and new players, so from time to time we'll see some questionable plays. These people are still learning, but that's what these events are for as well, to actually learn. You'll see a lot friendlier an environment than a lot of Magic players are used to at our events. They're open to anyone, really. So if you're interested and you are in the general Ghent area in Belgium, feel free to step by and play some games with us. So we have an Ulvenwald Mysteries for Iarre. Whenever a non-token creature of his dies, he gets to investigate, and whenever he sacrifices a clue, he gets a 1/1 soldier token. It's his mid to late game grind engine, giving him card advantage. But at this point, he probably is a bit more worried about the amount of pressure he's seeing on board. He couldn't play the Natuko Husk again because of the Reflector Mage's ability. That would be pretty good on this board right now. So, only option he has is to block the Reflector Mage. Both of these are 2/3s, so they just bounce off of each other and he gets 5 damage. Because the Topen Free Blade got renowned. Iarre fighting a bit of an uphill battle here, but a lot of that is going to be helped with the Nantuku he has available, providing a pretty scary blocker. Uh, but the Essence Flux, he chooses to Essence Flux the Whirler Rogue for 2 extra top tier tokens. Another option would have been the Reflector Mage, because a lot of the strength on his board is coming from that Nantuko Husk, but Ruud pretty much declaring here he wants to try and race in the air. He has the kill in 3 attacks, so being on 20 life, that is reasonable. And Ruud indeed taking the safe plan, I like him not attacking with the token free blade. It's a pretty big stop sign against the Catacomb Sifter and the smaller creatures. So it probably wouldn't really make the clock faster. And yeah, the only safe attack that Iarre has here is with his Nantuko Husk. Now the Nantuko Husk shouldn't underestimate, is threatening quite a lot of power here. If he sacks his entire board and makes tokens, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 16 damage. So it's not like Ruud can afford to let a lot of damage pass. Yeah, Iarre sacrificing. Yeah, Iarre sacrificing the blister pot to it. Gets a Scion, gets a Clue, gets +2/+2. Gets to scry one. Yeah, it's easy to see why this deck has such a strong game. Oh, and another Essence Flux on the Whirler Rogue. So that 2-turn clock is still a 2-turn clock because Iarre has the defense on the floor. So he doesn't have to worry about that. But he needs some help in the air. But there's another thing about the Aristocrats deck. It plays notoriously low amounts of removal, so it really relies on being the one who has a stronger board. And one of its weaknesses is a bunch of flyers, which we see very clearly here. We shouldn't forget that Ruud is still on a 2-turn clock, but he looks extremely safe here. I don't think that Iarre has a main board way of still winning this game. Yeah, Ruud's just going through the motions a little bit with a Thraven investigator, inspector. Should be called investigator. Jesus, that's a flavor fail. And another Whirler Rogue. Yeah, you see, Ruud completely unafraid to completely dump the board full of permanents, knowing that his opponent is incapable of threatening a sweeper. Yeah, makes one of his creatures unblockable with the 2 summoning sick tokens and attacks for the win. So yeah, he did shave off. Exactly, he did shave off a turn by making it unblockable. Missed that at first. So Ruud is one game up here. And now we go to the sideboards. Usually the blue-green aristocrat deck has quite some options, quite some defense against flyers in particular. And we haven't seen the Thunderclap Wyvern from Ruud, which is usually something this deck plays pretty heavily around. It could be that this is a more um, blink focused version of the blue white tempo deck. We also haven't seen the Sky Spawner, so that could be an indication that he has a different combat plan. On the Ruud side, they know green black aristocrats is public enemy number one, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that Ruud has quite a bit of cards available. We see him here immediately slapping down 6 cards. He's ready for this matchup. Iarre, on the other hand, also is piling up the cards. Like I said, usually they have some answers, some removal in the sideboard. see